Alright, it should be working now, I hope. Well, I have tried doing an epic intro to the segue. As it happened, I watched other people called it too. They called it themselves. Everyone else called this before the game even came out. That's the funny thing. Now, basically, I was gonna, talk about how my experience with Xrd in the beta was and how I didn't want to get it. But that's not what I'm basically here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the lies of what people brought into this crap. Basically, how Xrd. Don't get me wrong, and this whole stream is not just saying, "Oh, Xrd is a bad game." It's not a bad game. It's an incomplete kind of noob-friendly game. Kind of like Mortal Kombat 11. And they're very similar. Both games are very, very similar. That's what this video is basically saying. How the hypocrisy of this game versus that of, like, MK11. Basically, I played the beta Xrd. I thought every character felt watered down compared to other characters. Some of them had unique moves. The new characters, Nagaruki and Giovanna. Giovanna was a ripoff Chun-Li, but she was just press buttons and win. She was basically very easy to play. And Nagaruki, I didn't play much. He was weird, but he takes skill. But he's fun though. But basically, what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say, basically, is Xrd has had three major issues, basically. One, its player base number. Basically, how well or how not well it's done since release after a month, because it's been a month. Two, the player base reception to the game. And three, the numbers of units sold of this game. Basically, that's what I want to talk about. I'm very tired right now, and I was gonna go on a smooth kind of cool rant, and it was gonna make sense. But I'm gonna shoot the shit right now, basically. Okay, let's talk about the player base and how well it started out. 30 million or 30,000 people was its peak, or at least that's if you believe what everyone else talks to you. If you actually did your dang gone research about how Xrd came out, on the first day it said it was 30, on the second day it was 26,000 players. That's how many people were on this game, 26,000. Okay? It wasn't 30,000 ever, it never will be 30,000, the number's a lie, and people need to get that through the skull, that is a lie. You need to tell people that the 30,000 players that are on Guilty Gear never happened, and it's never been able to fucking peak that. That's what the issue is, that people lied about that number. But people can lie about player-based numbers, Some people are like, oh, MKLO didn't sell 50, it only sold like fucking 20 mil or whatever, 20 million copies or whatever. But if you actually do 10 minutes of research, it sold over 30 million copies. That's a game with 30 million to 50 fucking people, But basically, that's okay. That's not my big thing. You could bullshit a number, that's not the issue. But how well has that gone since the release of Guilty Gear? Xrd. If you actually go look up the player numbers for Xrd, now people have said that Xrd was going to be going strong for months, years, basically, right? And I'm just going to look at the player base numbers now. It has less players than Tekken 7. And it still has more players than both SF5 and Mortal Kombat and Fighters combined. But it's lost its throne in a month. It lost its total player base in a month. It's lost more than half. Basically, okay, it was 26,000 players, right? You basically lost a fucking 2/3 of your player base is gone. And 6,000 is the diehard people. The people that just watch this shit and play it, and basically just play it. Now, I don't mind that people, said, okay, the numbers, Guilty Gear Xrd was going to last months on end, and it's going to be the best game ever. But the funny thing, if you actually go look at its monthly thing, it hasn't peaked since release. It literally has not peaked since that first day. It's been on a downward up and up, basically. Now, most fighting games have a middle up and up to an upwards up and up. Basically, that means You do a diagonally up and then go diagonally down, basically. You basically go up, down, you know, one of those up-down graphs, basically. But they've had it either steadily or it's gone up. Strive has gone down. It's gone down hard. It's been spiking down. And another thing is to now that's one of the issues I have is the numbers and the player base, the player base and how it's decreased and how, you know, people are like, oh, it's been 30,000 players, but nah, it hasn't been, as I said earlier. Next thing is I wanted to talk about is essentially the gameplay and how it's been smothered into basically a noob-friendly game when people just spam // and people are like, oh, you can beat anyone with a // or you can beat anyone with Soul, and you play these brain-dead characters, and that's how this mostly games go. Like, let's say you play Faust and beat a fucking pro. If a pro-level Faust beats a pro-level fucking Soul or a pro-level Ram or whatever, or fucking Leo Whitefang or whatever, that Soul, I guarantee you that within a week, let's say if fucking Faust wins a tournament, he's gonna be called top tier. Same thing happened to Shao Kahn, same thing happened to Johnny Cage in MK11. The gameplay in Strive is bare bones. It's designed really poorly too. Supers could deal half damage on one hit raw. And people fucking hurts. Anyone with any fighting game knowledge is gonna get destroyed by Soul players who spam like 3 or 4 moves. Or Leo players that fucking just do random shit. Or Ram, or even the Totsugeki spam. Which is a thing! But yeah. That's the gameplay issue side of things. It's noob spam and shit. And basically the reception of this game, mostly positive. There are some people, I'm gonna admit, before the game came out, there were people months ago making like videos on how, is this enough to really do? Like, is this really enough to do to make a good game? And then really within a month they became shills and just, oh, it's one of the best fighting games in modern era and all this shit. Okay, if it's such a good game, you lost 2/3 of your player base within a month, you've been on a downward spiral, and you're already releasing DLC? It's the Street Fighter V way of doing it all over again. That's what it is. It's SF5. That's what fucking Strive is. Strive is another version of SF5. That's what it is. It's boring and basic. But, you know, I don't care. If people like Strive, that's not the issue. I don't care. But basically what I'm trying to say is that people who hate Strive and bitch about MK11 have no right to complain when someone does the same thing about Strive and likes MK11. They're practically yin-yang, the fucking similar game. They're very similar. It's super unironic too, and also the data mine of the DLC be like, oh, Gold D. Lewis is a surprise when the whole data has been mined already. We know we're getting Lewis, we're not getting Biken, we're not getting Slayer, we're getting fucking Lewis, Chaos. I believe Jacko is one of them too. I haven't looked at the data mine in a while, but yeah, the DLC's been data mined for Strive. Nothing's a surprise. Chaos does look cool though. I've seen some. He's basically Bedman with like guns. Kind of cool. But that's my whole issue. Is that Strive is just such like a hypocritical like viewpoint of most of the FGC. Now, as I said, you can like it. I have no problem with people liking Strive. I just hate how people like don't see that it is very similar to MK11. That's my one big issue. And I called this game. I said it was going to be dead or close to dead in a month, and guess what? It is. It lost 2/3 of its player base in a goddamn month. And then finally people are like, oh, MK11 is dead, right? MK11 is not dead, people. It's. I know you like the people like to say, oh, MK11 has less players than MKX, which is impossible because MKX can't even get 1,000 players. Let's actually, I'm going to go look up as we see the MK11 total player base as we speak. 2,632 players. That is MK11. Let's go look at SF5. I'm gonna go be looking at SF5 player count. 1,502 players. Yeah, it has more players as we speak than SF5. You know, SF5, that game which has been basically beating a dead body That's what SF5 is. It's beating a dead body. Same with this game. I feel like this game is just beating a dead body. This game might get good if they add insta-kills. I'm not gonna lie, if they get insta-kills, I might be into it. Gold D. Lewis, whatever his name is, does look kinda... I admit, when I watched the trailer, and he only has like 3 or 4 moves, and people are like, oh, but it's the whole gimmick is that if you spin it a different way, it's a different move, and I'm like, yeah, but it's gonna be, essentially, it's basically the equivalent of a grappler spamming 360. That's what it is, and people are gonna complain that people are just spamming, like, fucking 360 motions, even though that's how you play the character. He does look kinda interesting. The Gatling gun animation, though, is, abhorrently bad. I hope they do fix that before he comes out, even though I think he's out already, or he's about to come out. I think he's coming out Tuesday, I believe. I'm not sure, but that Gatling gun animation looks worse than animations I've seen on fucking on indie fighting games, or on what the hell is it called, Mugen with those fake crappy looking 3D models. Yeah, but I just wanted to get this thing out of it and just basically say, Strive people, I know no one's gonna watch this too, which is kind of funny. Strive people, I'm telling you this honestly. The fact that you people shill for this game, and the fact that it's lost its player base within a month, and you still bitch about other fighting games and act like this is one of the best of the modern era, no! I'm way more hyped for indie fighting games. There's like some indie fighting games that I'm fucking ecstatic for. Like, the indie fighting games are getting rollback netcode too. That's another thing I forgot to mention. Everyone's been saying, oh, so happy Strive has rollback. Yeah? Well, here's the thing. MKX had fucking rollback. MK11 has rollback, right? These games have rollback netcode. So, why are we giving Strive a pass on this? I feel like every fighting game post-MKX should have broken rollback. SF5 doesn't. Smash doesn't. Those games suffer because of the shitty internet. It's a make or break for those games. And we're making such a big deal that fucking... Okay, so should we make a big deal that MK11 has rollback? No one's talking about the fact that MK11 has rollback. Or MKX. They just say, oh, Strive has rollback. Amazing. Selling point. Fucking selling point. That's why fucking people are hyped for that fucking Nicktoons game. That actually looks kind of cool. I hope they actually make a good roster to it. I really want Aang in that game. But, yeah. Basically, I wanted to get the stream out, basically telling my 2 cents on Strive. But... I'm sick. I'm sick of the stupid shit with Strive. I'm just sick of it. I'm my friends who love fighting games. These people love fighting games even more than me. They like fighters. I'm not too hip on fighters. They like fucking, they don't like Grand Blue. They don't like, Cross Tag. And I'm gonna be honest, I think Arc is kind of a one-hit wonder right now. They've only made fighters since basically everything post Rev 2 has kind of been a letdown for me. I love Rev 2. This game is amazing. I would play this game still. But basically, everything post Rev 2 I feel like it's been a downfall. The animations of Rev 2 looks nice. It's a good game. Fighters looks nice too. I just think Fighters has the balancing and core fundamental issues of that game. You know, just basically it's basically either you mess up one time and you get fucked for it. I get it. That's how fighting games are. You mess up, you fuck up, you're gonna get punished for it. That's not the issue. The issue is, no offense, even my friends who play it though, they get bored just kind of watching it. And I'm like, I understand if you're not doing anything. I mean, it could be fun a lot though. Fighters could be fun. I just wish that people played more than like 2 or 3 teams in that game. I really wish people busted out like some low tiers and just started beating the shit out of people. But yeah. Everything post Rev 2 has been kind of a letdown for me. But yeah, I called Strive. Me and a bunch of other YouTubers who are better than me and famous than me called Strive, pointed out the issues of the gameplay with the wall mechanics, the fucking gameplay, the shitty frame data, the spam, the bullshit hitboxes too. Yeah, there's been bullshit hitboxes and animation errors. Oh, and the glitch in the beta. Remember that Flying Faust glitch? Top tier gameplay. Top tier design there. But, yeah, I just wanted to get this out. I'm so happy to fucking finally tell my opinion on Strive. Basically, at the end of the day, if you like Strive, you cannot talk shit about MK11 or talk shit about any other fighting game without acknowledging that Strive has major flaws. In my opinion, Strive is not worth 60 bucks. It is worth 30. It's an indie fighting game, pokers and pats. It's a Street Fighter V wannabe. And I was gonna start talking. I'm gonna do a quick little thing. If you hate MK11, I would like to say that MK11 is not one of the worst fighting games in the modern era. There's actually 3 other fighting games in the modern era that have failed harder than MK11. Some games have died in a month, like Strive. Some games even died in a week earlier than that. Like, I played a fighting game in the modern era that died, and it was made by a giant of the company. It was made up of a giant of the industry. I'll give you a hint. It's SNK who made that game. That game died in a week. Almost a month, and the game is dead. It's still getting DLC too. I find it funny how fighting games with, like, a shit thing, like a shit initial release, get a shit ton of DLC. I think it's kind of funny. I think it's an attempt to earn money back, same with SF5. SF5 isn't trying to earn its money back, and I feel like it's either barely been able to do it or hasn't been able to do it. But, you know. But yeah, I wanted to get all this. Basically, Strive is a meh fighting game with a meh gameplay design and a meh story. Oh, and the fact that they took out fan favorites Jacko, Slayer, Biken, and has a shitty roster than Rev 2 is just really bad too. Where are these characters? These characters are going to get added later on too. Basically, if Strive... I feel like Strive needs an overhaul in the gameplay, and I feel like it needs instant kills and more characters. And maybe the game will be actually useful. Maybe it'd be worth 60. But yeah, those are my 2 cents. Thank you all for listening. Yeah. Strive should have been better. Could have been better. And the show's gonna show for it. Peace.